Action! Everybody, I'm MasterCode, your ace analyst, and today we'll be discussing the anime series Beastars. The show originally debuted in late 2019 and is based on the manga of the same name. And just to get this out of the way, no, I have not read the manga. My sole experience with Beastars is simply from the anime. Now that that's out of the way, a quick overview, and I'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum. Developed by Orange Studios, Beastars is primarily a high school drama in a world of anthropomorphic animals where tensions rise between carnivores and herbivores as a carnivore kills a herbivore named Tim at the local Cherryton school, which is the biggest taboo a carnivore can commit. Our three main leads are Legoshi, a gray wolf, Haru, a white dwarf rabbit, and Louie, a red deer. Now, before we delve deeper,
we need to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Yes, many have compared this to Zootopia, which is also set in an anthropomorphic world with tensions between carnivores and herbivores. But I wouldn't call it a ripoff by any means, as while it does share similar elements, Zootopia was a buddy cop mystery movie, and Beastars is a high school drama with a murder mystery element. Although you could say that the manga may or may not have been influenced by the movie, as the first volume of the Beastars manga came out approximately 9 months after Zootopia was released in Japan. So take that for what you will. And yes, I will be referring back to Zootopia every now and then. Also, what sets Beastars apart from Zootopia is its darker, violent nature and adult themes.
It's a beautiful cream color. I want to see how far it goes. Is that okay?
I need an adult.
I am an adult.
No, it's not okay! Moving on, let's talk about the show intro as it does everything a well-done show opening should do. Set up the world and tell a story. It sets a series tone, establishes your main characters, and is bizarrely eye-catching. The cinematography is gorgeous. The blue lighting and shadows in the beginning gives this ominous sense of dread as we watch a salivating wolf stalk a rabbit. Even the theme Wild Side starts out very ominous until it reaches its climax and shows bright colors and happy dancing. The contrast setting up that even though the series is rather dark, it still has its moments of levity. The stop motion is also very well done. The puppetry and set design look professional, and the puppets themselves are detailed and fluid, and the water effect is just so cool. Overall, creating an interesting, odd, fascinating opening that draws the audience in. Anyway, after all this talk of the show, let's actually get down to our main characters. Our main protagonist is Legoshi, who despite having an intimidating appearance, being a tall gray wolf with sharp nails and teeth, he's actually a shy, kind guy, who is also socially awkward and avoiding interaction with others due to his imposing nature. Coupled with that are his own self-loathing issues with his self-awareness of his carnivore/wolf nature.
I tried to get over the depression without anyone's help. I've lived with this secret my whole life.
Though it never comes off as annoying or forced, and rather just him struggling with his identity, just trying to get by all the while accepting that most fear him. And he's not always down on himself. He has his moments of levity, enjoying activities with the few friends he has, like being a stagehand in the drama club, and he does step up and becomes more assertive when friends or anyone's well-being is threatened. He's not just a selfish self-loather, making him an odd yet interesting character. Then there's Haru. She's a kind dwarf rabbit who is constantly judged by her small nature, with most seeing her as a weak and defenseless individual. Though she's more known by the students as the school by school.
Wait! You mean you're sleeping with her too? That means there are other guys out there who she's got her claws into.
He's the one who kissed me. A guy who gets excited over one little kiss. Kinda tells you something, doesn't it?
Though she's not doing everyone just for fun or to be a jerk and break up relationships, she's doing all this because she discovered that through sex, Haru's partners no longer see her as a feeble creature, but rather seen as an equal. It's the only time anyone treats her like a real person, being real and not talking down to her, which is where things get interesting when Legoshi comes along and she finds out that unlike all the other guys in the school, he didn't look down upon her and merely saw Haru as herself. which begins a quirky romance struggle between the two. Both are conflicted if they should actually pursue a romance that cannot be between a carnivore and a herbivore. Our last main character is Lewis, who, despite his initial appearance of a calm and collected deer, for a herbivore, he can actually be quite aggressive.
Don't tell me you went and ate that script. That is all that goats like you are good for, isn't it? Eating paper?
I'm not just another herbivore! Go ahead, Legoshi. Bite me!
His stoicism masks his true arrogant nature, fearing a lashing out when his feebleness is called into question, like him trying to hide various injuries from other students. He actively seeks the title of Beastar, but is insecure about his ability to be a good leader, constantly pushing himself to his limits to be a perfectionist. On top of that, he's a third-year student who's developed quite a reputation being one of the best and brightest of the school and must retain that station to not appear weak to the others. Despite his true nature, you still feel sympathy for the guy as we find out later about his dark past. You begin to understand why he's so adamant about appearing as a strong figurehead no matter what obstacles are before him, one being Legoshi. Louis despises him because the Grey Wolf carnivore is always so docile despite his appearance. Thus, the conflict between both grows as Louis suspects he's just masking his true instincts and putting up a facade, leaving the red deer seeing him as a threat. And when Haru gets involved in the picture, the symbolism in the show intro becomes even more relevant, with Louis literally coming between the two and their relationship. Now, the story does primarily revolve around our three protagonists, but there's also a plethora of side characters that they interact with, and there's quite a lot, so I'll only cover a few. They still do a good job of helping flesh out the world and our leads. Jack, a yellow lab and Legoshi's best friend, is the complete opposite of the Grey Wolf. He's optimistic, joyful, and an accommodating friend, but he is constantly concerned with Legoshi's well-being, providing him and the audience with some levity in the school's dark times.
Could it be... you fell in love? Oh, my tail swinging, maybe I'm in love. Legoshi, what?
Then there's Bill. Bill shares the stigma of an imposing appearance, being a tall, strong Bengal tiger, but he's mostly a friendly guy who does care for the well-being of the students, including herbivores, though he's not all mentally sound and he constantly suffers from anxiety, giving into a taboo addiction to keep himself sated and focused. Though I'll come back to this element later. Then there's Juno, another Grey Wolf who's a first year at the school. Now, how do I describe her?
She's, tenacious.
You have no idea.
She's a social, kind girl who wants to find her place and doesn't want to be ostracized by herbivores just because she's a wolf. Though when she wants something or someone, she is extremely ambitious to acquire it. And the lengths she'll go through makes her come off as possessive and aggressive. But coupled with her quirky nature, she still feels like a realistic person who again is trying to find their way in the world. And she's actually a pretty fun character.
What's going on? Why am I suddenly attracting all the wolves in this school?
I know the truth by smelling you. You guys didn't have sex. Oh, did you think I was going to eat you just now?
Now, I can go on about the supporting cast, but we'll be here all day. The themes of prejudice between the carnivores and herbivores are ever present in the show, and it's handled quite well, showing the gray morality between both sides. And just from the character descriptions I went over, you can see the diversity of the characters in the show. There are some carnivores that tend to be more aggressive and willing to fight each other, however, most are neutral or good-natured. In the same respects, you have some herbivores, like Lewis, who are not mild-mannered and kind, and some herbivores are actually hostile to carnivores just because of their nature, so it's not just black and white.
Did you see this? The Canine Killer Group's leader is a Grey Wolf, just like you.
But I'm not like that!
Since you're a Grey Wolf, show us who you really are.
Once again, comparing to Zootopia, let's discuss the plot point both media share about the animals becoming primal and dangerous. In Zootopia, carnivores will be shot with a drug that awaken their true instincts and become more feral. Thus, the animals that go rampaging aren't really at fault because their brain chemistry was altered by said drugs. In Beastars, if there is blood in the air, carnivores become highly susceptible to awakening their instincts. And if weak will, they can and will indulge in them, which makes the feral concept much more real in this show as it could happen at any time, like a druggie or alcoholic indulging in their vices.
Hey, old man, it's 70,000 for that finger, right? If I pay for it, that means it's mine to eat?
Legoshi himself is seen struggling with his inner demons throughout the series, which does add a layer of complexity to his character, trying to keep his resolve strong and fight his inner nature.
You longed for this taste for 17 years.
Stop. Just end my misery.
Now, fairly early on in the series, we find out about the existence of a black market hidden in town, and when the students stumble across the hidden den, it opens up so many morality questions because the market, it sells meat.
Soylent Green is made out of people.
Yeah, you realize just how disturbing this society is. Most of the meat located in the market comes from recently deceased animals, such as from hospitals, which raises so many questions about the morality of healthcare in this world. Like, would they just let some animal die who's near death just to continue the constant flow of bodies to the market? And this whole thing is set up for carnivores just to sate their appetites for blood, just to introduce a quote-unquote healthy addiction just to keep said carnivores from attacking herbivores, all culminating in an endless cycle of a society that's literally feeding off itself. And the most shocking part? It's just treated as the norm.
This is the black market, and we're carnivores.
That's because the black market exists for us.
The reason behind their composed faces.
Is that what it means to become an adult?
Alright, now to finish off this Beastars overview with its animation. The show primarily uses 3D CG and is a great example of computer-generated imagery in anime done well. The characters would be highly detailed enough if just in 2D, but there's little nuances in the characters' movements that add so much more depth and movement to the frame, from the individual hairs on their bodies moving with even the slightest movements of the wind, wagging tails, and other common traits you see in animals in real life. The animators really play around with the 3D aspect by creating some amazing and chaotic action scenes. The angles, the lighting, and the fast-paced nature made the fight scene so entertaining. Of course, being a dark anime, it creates some terrifying atmospheres with intense shadows or even very minimalistic like seen in the beginning of the show.
So, we're just food after all. For you carnivores, is that how it is?
In contrast, there's some beautiful hand-drawn sequences that are just stunning.
As I continue to walk, I begin to understand that a warm place doesn't exist here. No matter how many branches I push aside.
Visually, it's a very appealing show, taking full advantage of its style, making it a diverse and unique looking anime just on its animation alone. So that about wraps things up. When I first walked into this series, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I am so glad I checked it out. Bottom line, if you have not seen Beastars yet, I highly recommend it. The stories are engaging, the characters complex, the world rich in lore, and some stunning animation make this an absolutely enjoyable show. Well, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, MC out!